The protagonists within Bong Joon Ho's filmography are all of socio-economically disadvantaged backgrounds. This is no accident, as each of director Bong's films explore modern-day issues created by age-old systems of power and ideas of oppression, all in their own unique ways. The systems and challenges they face include social inequality by means of capitalism and class, consumerism, animal abuse, climate change, and more. While Bong's films sometimes contradict each other, there is an unfortunate aspect to these films that is an inevitable contradiction: reality. Here I will delve into 3 of Bong's films and explore the unfortunate paradoxes of their existence. Okja, released in 2017, tells the story of Mija, who lives in rural South Korea, and her super pig best friend Okja, a genetic invention of the USA-based Mirando Corporation, who intends to use these super pigs as a cheap form of meat. However, they tell the public that it's non-GMO, which introduces the first topic, Bong's understanding of public relations as a complete facade, accentuated by the characters of Lucy and Nancy Mirando, played by Tilda Swinton. Lucy is all about good publicity and Nancy is all about business. Despite this, they are still 2 sides of the same coin. Lucy lies to the public about the super pigs being non-GMO, whereas Nancy just doesn't care and has the mentality of,
if it's cheap, they'll eat it.
Likewise, Jake Gyllenhaal's character, Johnny Wilcox, is an over-the-top TV presenter who claims to love animals while committing animal abuse against Okja.
I'm an animal lover.
And upon this footage being revealed to the public, he immediately delves into a fake apology.
I pledge to learn everything I can!
The film also explores how harmful meat consumption is. During the production of the film, director Bong visited a real slaughterhouse in preparation for the film's penultimate sequence, which turned him vegan temporarily. The film doesn't hold back on this front, showing the inner workings of a slaughterhouse, and in a way taking away Mija and the audience's innocence towards what happens in real life. The ending of the film sees Mija trying to save Okja, and Nancy Mirando refuses until Mija pulls out her golden pig, given to her earlier in the film. This trade, real pig for golden pig, symbolizes how mega corporations just see money in their resources, no matter the shape or even if it's alive. It also shows how Mija can't beat the system of capitalism, so she abides by its arbitrary laws. Despite this, it's not a total victory, as this is just one super pig saved out of millions, set to be slaughtered and consumed by humans around the world. Snowpiercer was Bong's first English-language film, the sci-fi action film released in 2013 and explores a world the size of a train. After trying to stop climate change through climate engineering by releasing a cooling agent called CW7, the remnants of humanity travel the world on Snowpiercer, a train that never stops, otherwise
we all freeze and die!
The train's geography serves as a clear metaphor for standing in social class. The front is for the rich, tail section for the poor, and they're only there for the sake of having someone to exclude and then use when needed. The story follows tail section members trying to climb the social hierarchy in the form of a revolution. The tail section members share a sense of class consciousness. Aside from the class warfare occurring within the film, Snowpiercer also explores consumption, except this time, it's of human lives. The front section is always telling tail sectioners to stay in their place in one way or another. The tail section are treated as a resource for the front, providing them entertainment, and also using the children as literal slaves to the engine. The front steals their children and works them to death, and then they're just replaced. Near the end of the film, it is revealed that the revolutions that have occurred are all part of Wilford's plan in conjunction with Curtis's father figure, Gilliam. Jung Sung-hoon talks about Snowpiercer in Rediscovering Korean Cinema, saying, "It turns out that the train as a life world, due to its limited space, should maintain its homeostasis by regularly reducing the population of the tail car upon uprisings. This is a form of necropolitics, and as always, ends up with the poor dying like they're nothing." The end of the film takes a different approach to Okja in terms of its system. Instead of living in the oppressive system, it's blown up, killing all but 2 characters, both of whom were born on the train, leaving us wondering how they'll rebuild the system to avoid this inequality in a post-Snowpiercer world. Parasite released in 2019. The social satire in the film oozes out, from the difference of social class expressed through verticality to the shot composition and costuming. A story of two families and a couple. The Parks, aka the rich, the Kims, aka the poor, and the couple, aka the super poor. The three groups lack class solidarity and have a sense of false consciousness. Despite Parasite being Bong's seventh film, he's still surprising his audience. Ingu Kang says in her essay for Criterion, what is new to Bong's analyses of class friction in Parasite is the film's disillusionment with the promise of social mobility, particularly for young adults, as symbolized by the Scholar's Stone, a talisman that was gifted to the Kims and is meant to bring wealth to its possessor, to which Kiwoo displays an irrational attachment. In the film's climax, his head is bashed with that same stone by the man living in the basement of the Park's house, suggesting that being obsessed with the hope for social mobility and wealth is a dangerous way of thinking, and that there's always someone less fortunate. She later says, it also reveals the Kims, as sympathetic and unfairly treated as they are, as utterly capable of the banality of evil, in part because of their own over-identification with the underdogs, and the inherent goodness they assume they can lay claim to. The Kim's sense of self-delusion is ultimately what cost them their position. Upon finding the man in the basement, instead of accepting Moon Gwang's money and helping the couple out, the Kims become selfish and assume the role of the rich family in comparison. The film's ending sees Kiwoo writing to his father, who is living in the basement of the Park's house. The visuals seem to say that this is reality, but it turns out it was just Kiwoo's aspiration of wealth. This is once again a different way Bong deals with the protagonist versus system idea. This time his protagonist aspires to beat the capitalist system. Actor Choi Woo-shik estimated that it would take approximately 564 years for Kiwoo to save up enough money to buy the house. With this knowledge, it's easy to see director Bong showing capitalism at its most real. We can dream, but we can't fly. Anna Shechtman writes in her article, The Pity of Okja, that Okja's critical success depends on this impasse: the audience's ability to divorce the film's narrative from its politics of production. Okja is a Netflix original with a budget of $50 million US, which means that a film about a big corporation profiting off lower working class people is made by a big corporation that most likely does the same. Thus the paradox. It's like commodifying the representation of commodification. And as with all of Bong's films, they have been created in the very system that he criticizes so much in his works, capitalism. And the profits of the film benefit Netflix more than anyone else, meaning the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Shechtman also said, the film's canned reception demonstrates the paradox of its global techno-capitalist production and its anti-globalist, anti-capitalist narrative. Need I say more? Snowpiercer is a dystopian representation of how humans always try to fix complex problems with the easiest solution, without thinking about possible consequences. Not just in terms of the protagonist Curtis's revolution, but also the climate politics, which are mostly just for the setting, but are still necessary to acknowledge as they are the cause of the film's events. The paradox here is that Bong is saying we need to slow down climate change naturally, meanwhile contributing to the problem directly through the amount of carbon emissions used in order to create the film. According to a recent report, the production of Snowpiercer would have an approximate carbon footprint of 1,081 metric tons of CO2e. To put that into perspective, that's the equivalent carbon impact of approximately 4 one-way trips from Earth to the Moon. The paradox of Parasite is that for something so insistent on the problems of capitalism, out of all Bong's filmography, it has made the most money at the box office and won the most awards. Awards voted on by rich upper-class people. So there's this sense of irony to the way that the very people the film can be seen to critique are applauding and supporting it. Despite advocating for a more post-structuralist society through his highly structuralist work, Bong falls into the same traps as his protagonists in thinking there's a way around these systems, and having to create his fictions within the realities of our world is his way of using privilege to raise important discussions about how we should treat those without it.